What's up, everybody? Welcome to Daily Betslip, Monday, October 17th. I'm Wallach, your host for today. Special edition for yours truly. Alongside me is Peter Dewey. We got a bunch of stuff going on today. We got, two NBA guys here, so we're going to give out some NBA best bets on the precipice of the NBA season starting tomorrow. We have Peter's MLB best bet for Yankees Guardians ALDS Game 5 in the Bronx. We hope they could get it in. By me checking the weather outside my window. Looks like they're going to play, but we're going to see on that one. And then, of course, we have Monday Night Football, Broncos versus Chargers. So loaded show to get to. Peter, how's it going, man?
Dude, I'm doing great. This is all my teams play tonight, apparently. So we got the Yankees tonight. We got the Broncos tonight. Little nervous for Game 5. Wish it didn't get to this point, but better than being eliminated in 4, so I'll take it.
God, catching a stray there. Ooh, that's catching strays for my Mets.
But no, I'm confident they're going to win at home tonight. I think if they were going to lose, it was going to be last night, but Cole pitched about as good as you could pitch. So I'm confident, but it's still the nerves. Playoff baseball, I don't know if you felt like this, to watching that. Every pitch, I'm on edge.
Yep.
And that's, I think, the lure of playoff baseball is every pitch, I'm somebody's going to hit a home run. This is just how it's going to go.
Yeah, deficits in playoff baseball, it feels like one run is really 4 runs. It just feels like it's over. Obviously, I'm a Mets fan. I had to sit through 2 losses in person, and it was absolutely miserable 2 weekends ago now. So your team's still alive. We'll see if they make it through another night. We will get to that in probably 15 minutes or so, but a lot of stuff to get to. We got our NBA best bets. Like I said, we got Monday Night Football. That's our game of the night, Broncos Chargers. If you are in the chat, if you're on Twitter, you're on YouTube, make sure you go vote for our community pick of the day. Again, that's Broncos Chargers. We'll get to that one in about 30 minutes or so. But let's talk some NBA. I got my Nets shirt on. Peter, we got your tile in the back says the NBA is back. We're both big NBA guys. You're a Knick guy. I'm a Net guy. Let's get out some futures bets, though, because the season starts tomorrow. Celtics, Sixers, Warriors, Lakers. We got each 3 bets kind of the same variety. 1 win total bet, 1, I guess, futures prop bet angle, and then 1 title bet. So we're going to go through some rapid fire here. If you want some more coverage, Peter did a story, 30 bets to make before the season. You got loaded NBA preview. Peter's as good as they come when it comes to NBA betting. So make sure you check him out. His Twitter page is right there at Peter Dewey 2, and go check it out on BetSided. But Peter, to you, give us a win total bet here. I know you're looking Bulls. You going over or under?
Yeah, I'm going under on the Bulls, 41.5. I'm actually happy I waited to bet this one because I bet it this morning. I ended up betting it. It was plus 105. I got it at DraftKings, and I'd seen it other places. It was minus 110, minus 108, depending upon where you were looking. I don't think the Bulls are going to be good, man. I'm interested for your take, but no Lonzo Ball probably until at least January. You look at the Bulls last season, when Lonzo Ball didn't play, they were 24-23. So they were basically a 500 team. I think they benefited in a big way. They got off to a hot start last year. Not sure that's going to be the case this year. Basically, they're swapping Lonzo Ball minutes for Goran Dragic and Kobe White. They didn't make any big offseason moves. Their interior defense is still very weak. I know they signed Andre Drummond, but he's not going to really change that much for them. Nikola Vucevic is in a contract year. Maybe if they struggle to start this year, do they trade him? I'm kind of out on the Bulls just as a contender. DeMar DeRozan was a all-NBA selection, probably had the best season of his career last year, and they still finished with the 6th seed. So I could see them regressing. I think 41-41, 40-42. That's probably where they end up. I could also see them, if they really get out to a slow start, where they fall, into the high 30s and wins, just because the East is so loaded this year. So I'm out on the Bulls. I'm taking the under on their win total.
Yeah, a lot of things broke the Bulls' way early in the season last year. I agree with you. I think the Lonzo Ball injury, which seems it's every report gets worse and worse. I saw a report he was struggling to get up the stairs and stuff. And Ben in the chat says Pat Williams season coming. That I think is kind of a concerning thing if it's a Pat Williams season, because that to me signals maybe less wins in the short term because they're trying to develop someone like Pat Williams. So I agree. I mean, Goran Dragic and Andre Drummond, kind of their 2 marquee free agent signings. I don't know if those guys are carrying you to wins anymore. They were just both on the Nets. I don't think those are net plus guys on teams anymore. I think that the Bulls, especially the East, is going to be better than I think it's ever been, in recent memory. You got teams that I think, and I'll segue it into my pick, but some of these young teams, and even, the Cavs, the Knicks, further down the list, the Pistons, the Magic, these teams are on the rise here, and they are looking to pass the Bulls. I could definitely see the Bulls as kind of a vulnerable middle of the Eastern Conference team, a team that ended up kind of not sneaking into the playoffs, but in the bottom half of the Eastern Conference after a hot start. So I think the second half of the year Bulls is what we see more of. And like you said, that was a 500 team. I don't hate the under at plus money. So yeah, my win total bet is kind of one of those things I was just talking about. The Orlando Magic. I'm going to go over 27.5 wins. This is a decent jump from last year, but you look at some of the bottom teams that that they are being grouped together with. The Magic don't have a directive to tank or to sit their players. This is a team looking to build towards the playoffs now. They just got the number 1 pick with Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner entering his second year. Jalen Suggs out for the beginning of the year, but Cole Anthony has really emerged, the past 2 years off the bench. I think he could hold down the fort. Wendell Carter. This is a team that's top half of the league in defense last year. I think the Magic are a team trending upward. I think 30 wins is well within the realm of possibility. The Magic to me look like a frisky team. So I'm looking teams towards the bottom. What is your directive? The Thunder. I'm not looking to bet an over on them because they could just shut down everyone at some point, and then you're playing, a bunch of G League guys. I don't think the Magic have too much young talent on their team not to compete in games, not to rack up wins against lesser competition, and then also compete against some teams that are banged up throughout the course of a season. So the Magic to me are one of my buy teams. Seems like the Pistons, that's a team that's been, their win total has been tracking upwards the past few weeks, leading up to the season. Cade Cunningham, they got Bojan Bogdanovic. To me, it's the Magic. I think that this is a team that maybe things break right and they're in the play-in race, the final 2 weeks of the season before they kind of slow up. So over 27.5 wins to me, this is an auto play. So I like the Magic. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, you make a lot of good points, like the directive. They just got the number 1 pick. Like, they could tank for Victor Wembanyama, but, why would they? And you look at some of their roster. Like, Jonathan Isaac at some point is going to be back this season. Markelle Fultz missed it eventually. Markelle Fultz missed basically the entire year last year. He was out for a good chunk of the season. They have a lot of guys where Jonathan Isaac's going to make them a better defensive team. Markelle Fultz makes them a better offensive team. You mentioned how they were top half in defense. The reason they were so bad last year is they were one of the worst offensive teams. I think they finished last in offensive rating in the NBA last year. So when you have a team that you just can't put up any points, like on the nights when you play the Bucks and the Nets and the Celtics, like, you're just going to lose because they have more offensive talent. But I think they're going to have more talent on this team. Banchero he looked the part in Summer League of a true number 1 pick. And then the other way, I think you got to look at it for Orlando is in that division. Like, they're going to play a lot of those teams. The Hornets are kind of taking a step back. Not sure how I feel about the Wizards. Like, the Heat might take a step back this year. I think there's some games that they can win. So I agree with you. I think they're a team that you can buy low on here, just like more of an influx of talent, especially if they stay healthy.
Yeah. Like you said, Banchero, most polished offensive player in this year's draft. So I think it's an auto step up for a Magic team that needed some, isolation bucket getter. So, I went and grabbed this one over at FanDuel. That's widely available. So, Peter, I heard the sirens coming on behind you because they know that you're about to talk about the Knicks and they want to shut you down before you start saying anything crazy. So, how are you playing the Knicks now heading into the season? Of course, sign Jalen Brunson. We don't need to talk about the Donovan Mitchell thing. That was a little blown out, but this is still a talented Knicks roster. Where do you see them stacking up? And like we just said, an improved Eastern Conference. Where do you put the Knicks in the whole fray here?
Yeah, definitely an improved Eastern Conference. I'm taking the Knicks to make the play-in tournament, though. I think they finish in that 7 to 10 range. And that one's also a plus money, which I thought was a little surprising. But you look at the East, like, yes, the Nets, if everybody stays healthy, the Nets, the Celtics, the Bucks, the Sixers, the Heat, and
that's
the Cavs.
6 right there. That's 6 right there.
And that's 6 right there. So you're already putting yourself, like, I don't think the Knicks crack that top 6. Everything would have to break their way. Somebody else would have to fall off. They'd have to have great years out of certain guys, Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, to get there. But I think 7 to 10 is very reasonable because you look at last year's play-in field. And yes, the Nets ended up in there, and I think things are going to shift. But I think the Bulls fall back into the plan. The Hornets now going to be without LaMelo Ball to start the season. No more Miles Bridges after what he did this offseason, the domestic violence arrest. So I think they are destined to be, like a lottery, like bottom tier lottery team. I don't see the Hornets also, they lost Montrezl Harrell. James Bouknight just got arrested for a DUI. Like, that team is in shambles right now. Yeah. They are not good. So I think that's the spot where the Knicks kind of come up. They were 11th last year. I think they come up and take that spot. And you look at this Knicks roster, like, people will say it's a homer pick. They have a deep team. It's not a deep team of like all-star talent, but they have 10, 11 guys that are NBA rotation players. Like Cam Reddish is probably not going to crack the rotation to start the year because he did not look good in preseason. There's teams that would have Cam Reddish would be in their top 10, 100% on that roster. So
talent's there, for sure.
And I think the Knicks, like Julius Randle, everybody's out on Julius Randle. And I know there was the last year. He did not look good last year. He turned the ball over a ton, didn't shoot well. Julius Randle in the preseason didn't have a single turnover in the Knicks' first 4 games. It's like, because he had a point guard on his team. So Jalen Brunson, he may not be an all-star. I think there's a chance if the Knicks play well, he is the driving force. He has a chance to make an all-star team, but he is going to make everybody around him better. You got to hope RJ Barrett makes a step. But I think 38 to 42 wins is kind of where the Knicks can land. I think that gets you at least the 10 seed in the East.
Yeah, I think at plus money, this is worth a look. I think you also make like a lot of good points, I think, about the top of the Eastern Conference. It's going to be tough to crack that top 6 and avoid the play-in game. There's too many good teams, and that's not a knock against the Knicks. That doesn't mean the Knicks are bad. It's that there's a lot of really good teams in the Eastern Conference this year. And not to mention teams like the Cavs and Hawks made like splashy trades to really start competing this year. So, those are teams that are probably going to make a leap, and they're going to fight for that top 6 seed. So, at plus money, I honestly think that this line is more saying that the Knicks are likely to be in the 11th seed again. I still think that there's room for improvement for this Knicks team. I still think Thibs needs to figure out his rotations, but for the Knicks to make the play, and I think this is, I don't think that's far-fetched at all. I still think that there's talent on this Knicks team, and this is a reasonable expectation. So Knicks to make the play, and don't hate it, plus money. I think that there's room to go on this one. This, I think, should be odds on. I think it's more likely than not that they are in the play-in game.
Yeah.
For me, I'm throwing more of a dart here. I played this at 20-1. It's now 16-1. Still like it. Zion Williamson to lead the league in points per game. So I know he didn't play all of last year, and maybe that's what throwing the scent off, because I see like Embiid, Giannis, LeBron, all these guys at the top. Zion averaged 27 points per game 2 years ago when he played 61 games, shot 61% from the field, and also shot below 30% from 3. If he takes a little bit of a step forward from beyond the arc and becomes a passable 3-point shooter, all of a sudden he's flirting with, high 28, 29 points per game. I mean, the guy's a wrecking ball. I know people were like, saw him at media day and started betting him to win MVP. I think that this is the angle more to go. I think this is more likely and more within range. This Pelicans team is more improved than when he played 2 years ago. I think he is, he's motivated. He is as healthy as he's been in some time. I just think 16-1 we're talking about. I mean, this guy is a monster. And like I said, he just could bowling ball to the rim. The way they call fouls now, if he could get to the line 10, 11 times a game, he's a decent free throw shooter. I don't know. I think this guy could flirt with 30 points per game with the way they're calling the game now. So, 16-1, I like it. I like anything with double digits. I think that this is it's my second favorite. I'll talk about the other one I like, but this is probably what my favorite long shot is, but this is probably my second favorite, like dart points per futures bet to make with Zion leading league in points.
Yeah, I don't mind this at all, because obviously he's been in that conversation the last time he was healthy. Like you said, he averaged over 27 a game. Like, and it was an easy 27 a game for him. I mean, he shot 61% for the field. Like he was doing it well. The thing I am worried about for him in this prop is just, will he play enough games to maybe not qualify, but like, will he play enough games? Basically, yeah.
How much is it? It's like, is it 58 games, 60
I think
games?
it's 58 or 59, because LeBron played 56 last year and he didn't qualify for it.
So I think even with load managing, he should be able to get to that mark, assuming he stays healthy. Like I said,
would think
61 in that season that got cut short. So, I don't think that I don't think we're asking for too much here, especially with, they are going to make sure he's load managed, but not to the point where he's missing a quarter of the season.
Yeah, exactly. I would hope that. I am intrigued to see how him and Ingram full season, like both of them healthy, how this looks now with McCollum in the fold. But I don't mind that play at all. The only guy that I'm like, I haven't bet anything in this market yet, because I'm very nervous with Chris Middleton out to start the year. If Giannis is just going to score 35 a game for like the first month of the season, like is he going to do that? But I think Giannis is way up there. Like there's not a ton of value on betting him in that. But looking at what it was last year, I mean, it was LeBron, Embiid, Giannis all around like 29, 30 a game. Like Zion can definitely get there. I mean, he was very close to, like you said, shooting under 30% from 3 now better offense around him, maybe he gets some more open looks. I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I just pulled it up at FanDuel. Giannis is plus 420. He's the second choice. Embiid plus 350. Embiid plus 350. He's the favorite. Luka 480. Durant 550. Let's finish out. But Trae Young 12-1. Tatum 13. Morant 16. Then Zion 16. So again, I think if there's anyone I think, especially in that mid tier, I definitely don't. Trae and Tatum and Morant I don't really like. But for someone to maybe like push towards the top and be a surprise, I definitely think it's Zion 16.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, there's mine. So now let's talk some NBA title bets. Those were some fun little futures bets, but NBA title bet. I like this bet from you, so at least from their Western Conference representative. So let me hear about it. Talk to me about Denver.
Yeah, this is one I've been on for a minute. I took the Nuggets to win the title. I just think a lot of people are underrating, especially just Vegas in general, is just underrating this Nuggets team with Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. back. Like, Denver's just hovering in like that mid tier in the Western Conference where like they're slightly ahead of the Mavs and the Grizzlies. And like, I like the Mavs and the Grizzlies. The Mavs also lost their second best player, and the only thing they really added this offseason was Christian Wood. Yes, Tim Hardaway Jr. will be back, but like, I'm not sold on them just like walking back to the Western Conference Finals. You look at the Grizzlies, Jaren Jackson's going to miss a couple months as the sirens go by again. Going to miss a couple months to start the season. So I think with Denver, like they've shown they have a clear floor with Nikola Jokic on the team with nothing else around him. They're going to be a 4, 5, 6 seed area no matter what. Now you add an all-star guard in Jamal Murray, who probably played the best basketball of his career from the bubble up until he tore his ACL. He was fantastic over that stretch. And you add Michael Porter Jr. in, who is another guy who's going to get you 17, 18 a night. You look at that Nuggets supporting cast last year. I mean, it was a dart throw on who was going to give you anything that night. Like one night it was Bones Highland. Maybe the next night it's Will Barton. Now at least you're going into games. It's like, hey, we can rely on these three guys to go get us points. I think Porter makes them a better team offensively, even though they have to sacrifice a little bit defensively to have him in the game. We've seen him have those lapses, but like, this Denver team went to the Western Conference Finals in the bubble with all three of these guys healthy, and they're one Anthony Davis game winner away from being up 2-1 on the Lakers in that series. Like this, they were not like far out of that. I know they lost it in 5 games, so I think you have Jokic. He's not going to win the MVP this year because he's actually going to have a supporting cast, but like you have arguably the best player in basketball at times on a team that now like has multiple all-star possible type of players on it. I think they're going to be real tough to beat in the West.
Yeah, I have a bet on Denver to win the Western Conference. All for points you just said. So I totally agree. I think the additions of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Bruce Brown are huge upgrades in my opinion. Guys that have played in the playoffs, guys that have had integral roles. So I love the bet. I can't back them to win the title because unfortunately that belongs to the Brooklyn Nets. So here's the whole spiel. You knew it was coming. Obviously there were better numbers out there during the Durant saga. When he had a trade request, what was happening to Kyrie. So is this necessarily like the best wager, best use of your money? Maybe not because it's plus 700, but I do think that if we are talking about the beginning of the season and a team that could really exceed expectations relative to, other teams in the league, especially a team like Milwaukee, who is banged up. We just learned that Chris Middleton's out a few weeks. Boston, who has a lot of, turmoil, whether it's injuries or stuff on the coaching staff. It's the Nets, in my opinion. I don't know how much you put weight into preseason, but I did watch, and there are makings of a top 10 defense on this team with Ben Simmons. I mean, again, it's preseason, but Giannis Antetokounmpo struggled against the Nets defense. Ben Simmons did a very good job on him. Giannis also is playing his heart out. I watch, that's just like eye test stuff. They played Minnesota. Everyone's talking about how good of an offense they're going to be with Karl Anthony Towns around the perimeter, Anthony Edwards leap. Yeah, they shut them down too. They won by double digits. So, it's preseason, but, there's still a pretty new Nets team that's still figuring their stuff out. Yes, they need another big man. There are also pieces to move at the deadline to make upgrades, such as Nicholas Claxton, such as Seth Curry, maybe Joe Harris or Cam Thomas. So to me, the upsides here with this Nets team where if Simmons looks the part of a defensive fulcrum and, he could push the ball in transition off of misses, Durant and Kyrie, we know what they could do on offense, but if the defense can make a step and become a top 10 defense, all of a sudden the Nets are one of the most complete teams in the East. And, Kevin Durant's resume speaks for himself. I know there's a lot of other factors here, but I also think that this is the first real training camp that Durant and Kyrie have ever had really together without distractions, without anything around them, without a trade to make or an injury. So maybe things could click for this team around all the turmoil. I understand that the Nets have really scared teams or scared bettors off of them because of how they treated them. And, it's taken years off of my life, the stress that they've added, but it's a really talented roster in a really competitive Eastern Conference. There are questions everywhere. So I think that, I still think that the Nets could make this through the Eastern Conference. They have as much talent as anybody. I think the defense is what's really eye-opening to me through a couple preseason games. And not to mention, their first 5 games, they open against the Pelicans, then the Raptors at home. They play the Grizzlies on the road, the Bucks, the Mavericks. That's 5 tough games. That gets really easy. But let's say the Nets come out and go 4-1, and all of a sudden Simmons looks healthy and Durant's going for 30 a game. Kyrie looks locked in. That numbers, they're pushing quick to the top because this is a team that, odds makers know that they're an attractive team with all their, talent on hand. But if they look dominant early, odds makers are moving the Nets quickly because they're going to say, okay, this team might have something special. We don't want to get burned here. That's why, they stayed to the top all year, even when they were on those losing streaks because of the talent on hand. If there's actually substance to the hype, odds makers are shifting the Nets to, lockstep with the Celtics and Bucks and the Sixers very, very quickly. So I think there's upside on the Nets. I've been hurt before. I'm ready to be hurt again. Tell me why I'm wrong, Peter.
No, I agree with your points. We both you and I I think it was a couple weeks ago now. We talked about Ben Simmons as a defensive player of the year bet.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite long shot NBA future. If the Nets are the top 5-10 defense, Simmons is getting love there. This is his part of the floor.
Yeah, exactly. And he was second in the voting the last season he played because he didn't play last year. So I think that's definitely something. The thing for the Nets, I think, is just going to really come down to health. Is Ben Simmons going to play, 60, 65 games? Is Kyrie going to play 60, 65 games? Is KD going to play 60, 65 games? Like, if that happens, they're going to be a top 4 or 5 team in the East. But that is what been is the last few years. That's been the question. Like, can these guys stay healthy? Can they all be on the floor at the same time? Because when they're not, we see that there are deficiencies in the roster in certain spots. And they did a better job, I think, this also, like, TJ Warren is going to be big. Royce O'Neal is going to be big in terms of just you have like quality NBA players. Like, no offense to Kessler Edwards, but like when you're relying on Kessler Edwards and the corpse of Blake Griffin to get you 20 minutes each every night, like that's just not doable to win games, especially come playoff time. So I think they're a better team than they were coming into last year. And I think getting rid of Harden and Simmons, it's a better fit all around. Like just the way you're trying to build a winning basketball team. The question is just really going to be are all those guys going to hold up? Is everybody going to be healthy for the playoffs? Because if they are, then you're right. This number is going to shrink for the Nets immediately. They're already it's Milwaukee, Boston, and the Nets. Like that's what the East is right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if like you said, they start the season hot. Like they're going to become the favorites because that's what everybody's expected to happen the last 3 years was them to win a title at some point. So now it's like, okay,
it's time. This is the year. This is the year. Ready to be heard again. So let's pull up that recap graphic. I'm sure I will be spewing about the Nets all winter and spring long. So just to recap, in case you missed it, my best NBA futures bets are the over 27.5 wins for the Orlando Magic, Zion Williamson to lead the league in points at plus 1,600, the Nets to win the NBA title at 7-1. That's easily the freest money on the board. Peter went with the under 41.5 on the Bulls. The Knicks to make the play-in tournament at plus 105. Love a nuanced Peter Dewey Knicks take. And then he also took the Nuggets 18-1 to win the NBA title. I also sign off on that. So great stuff on the NBA. Like I said, Peter crushes the NBA. He did last season. Make sure you're following him on Twitter and his bet stamp and all that good stuff. On BetSided, he has his daily NBA picks, so make sure you're checking all that stuff out. So now let's transition, though, to more pressing matters, I'd say, for Peter. Not just his Knicks, but his New York Yankees are in another elimination game. Second straight night, live from the Bronx tonight. Weather may be a factor. Looking outside my window right now in Manhattan, New York, which I could literally look and almost see the Bronx, it is sunny. So as of now, it looks like it's good, but there is rain in the forecast tonight. But it is Game 5, Guardians, Yankees. As of now, the Yankees are minus 156 favorites with a total of 7 juice to the over. The Guardians are plus 132 underdogs. Yanks starting Jameson Taillon. Guardians starting Aaron Savali. Peter, what are your thoughts now after Garrett Cole's great start last night, keeping the season alive? Are you worried about this Guardians team that it seems like it just bloops in the outfield and try to piece it together, whereas the Yankees are just smoking home runs over the fence. Are you nervous going into a game 5? I know we touched on this at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, I'm nervous, but I think it's exactly for what you said. Like the Guardians have had timely hits and they put together some really good at bats where they get those bloops to land because they keep putting the ball in play. The Yankees aren't putting the ball in play as much, and that's what concerns me. They haven't had more than 6 hits in a game in this series. It's been all relying on the long ball. I think the key for the Yankees in this game, they have to jump on Savale early. He has a 5.4 ERA in the first inning this season. And that Guardians bullpen is top 5 in the league. So you don't want to come and have to face, whoever they end up bringing out of the pen tonight, because they basically are going to have anybody, but back end of the bullpen, Karinchak, Clase, like those guys, they haven't been able to touch them in this series. Yeah. So you don't want to face those guys with, a tie game or trailing. And the Yankees bullpen is highly questionable. Just, I can't imagine Wandy Peralta's available for the 4th day in a row. They'll have Jonathan Loaisiga. They'll probably have Clay Holmes, but knowing Aaron Boone, who knows what he's going to decide.
That was bizarre. That was like the most bizarre subplot of the entire weekend.
The fact that Holmes said afterwards that he was shocked he didn't come into the game, I think it just tells you everything you need to know that Boone is he just doesn't know sometimes what he's doing. But I think the rain, the Yankees got to hope it holds off because I think they need Taillon to get them at least 4 innings in this game. The last thing you want to do is Taillon gets roughed up early. You have to go to Domingo Germán. You have to go to Clark Schmidt for some length. Like, you need to be able to shorten this game as much as you can. So if they can jump on them early and Taillon can just hold serve for 4 innings and then you can go to the bullpen, I think that's the best case scenario for them. I mean, at this point, they owe it. The rest of this team owes it to Garrett Cole for the 2 performances he put on because he saved them yesterday. To go 7 innings in that game and save the majority of the bullpen, like, did everything you could have asked. So I think that it's got to be early in the game where they find a way to score some runs because the Guardians have the advantage once the bullpens come to the game. 100%. They've had all series.
Yeah. So let me hear I'll share my best bet first, but with all due respect, I lean towards the Guardian side here, just at plus money. I think there's so many variables in this game. First, we kind of hinted at it before the game. We're talking about it this morning. Game 5, like, anything goes right now. Like, to say I don't see a significant edge in either team. Like, sure, the Yankees are better. They have more power. They have Aaron Judge, they have Giancarlo Stanton. But, are you telling me you trust Jameson Taillon? Like, you could tell me he goes 7 shutout innings and absolutely locks down this Guardians lineup, or he gets blown up in the first inning for 5 runs. I think both are equally as likely. So, yes, Aaron Savali's had a tough year, but it's one game. You can kind of throw out a lot of these stats and stuff because it's one game. It's an elimination game. You never know what's going to happen. And this Guardians team has been able to string together really long innings and stuff. And, what was it, 15 hits on Saturday? I mean, this team is finding ways to put the ball in play. And once that happens, anything goes. So, I think at plus money, there is some value in taking the Guardians side here. I can't, justify laying minus 156 with a Jameson Taillon, maybe Domingo Germán, first half of the game. And then, like you said, the Guardians bullpen has the edge. So, if Savali could get through the order one time and all of a sudden this becomes a bullpen game, advantage Guardians. Guardians, this is more of a coin flip than anything. So I think there's some value in taking the Guardians at plus money. Pete, I know you have a prop though, and I sign off on this one. Let me hear it.
Yeah, so I am staying away from betting a side in this game. I actually bet the Guardians after the Yankees took the 5-3 lead in Game 3 because I was I
hate this emo head stuff from everyone here.
I had a horrible vibe. I was I don't think we're going to win this game. Bet it. Then I bet the Guardians yesterday. So I was debating, do I do it again tonight? But I decided against it. I'm going to go with a player prop. I'm taking Austin Hedges under half a hit. Austin Hedges is terrible, man.
He's terrible. He's so bad.
Horrible. They have no catch. So the Guardians' biggest weak spot in this lineup is their catchers. They're actually carrying 3 catchers on their playoff roster so they can pinch hit for them. That is the whole reason. They need somebody to play catcher, but they don't plan on having these guys hit. Hedges has already been pulled twice early in games for a pinch hitter, so there's a chance he might only get you like 2 at-bats tonight, which is obviously huge value if you're taking him under half a hit. Going back to September 14th, Austin Hedges has 2 hits. He's 1 for 14 in the postseason, and he has 2 hits since September 14th. So over a month, they've played about 25 games, and he has 2 hits over that stretch. He hit 163 in the regular season. I know he picked up a hit in this series. It's not going to happen tonight. There's no way. And the other thing that's crazy is the Yankees have walked him like 3 times in this series. For some reason, they've walked him like 3 times. So there's a chance he's going up there trying to work a walk anyway. Even with Tyon on the mound, I wouldn't be surprised if at the first chance the Guardians have to score, if his spot in the order comes up, they're pinch hitting for him because they have Luke Maile, who is a decent defensive catcher as well. And then they have, I forgot the kid's name. They have a third catcher. Things related to somebody on the Guardians, like it's a brother or a cousin or something. So they have a third catcher if they really need to go there. So I'm off the Austin Hedges business. I bet this, I think, in every single game in this series, and it's hit in 3 of the 4. So
yeah, I mean,
roll with it.
Minus 145, it's almost 60% implied probability. I mean, he's had 2 hits in a month, so that's kind of pretty good. You're taking the odds there that he's not going to come through. So I don't hate the look at all. I mean, I guess it's kind of random, but what I mean? Especially if he's only gonna get 1, maybe 2 at bats, he's gonna get pulled early. It's an all hands on deck game, so I agree. Exactly. But yeah, so overall, what's the confidence level before we get to Monday Night Football? What's the confidence level that the Yankees are playing the ALCS against the Astros for what feels like the 5th time in the past 5 years?
Scale of 1 to 10, I'll say 7 right now. Okay. I think they have some momentum. I'm really hoping they get there because I have tickets to Game 2 of the ALCS at the second game at Yankee Stadium. Okay. So I'm like that. I think it's gonna be on Sunday night. So I'm like, let me get to the game. I was ready. Yeah, I was ready to check out after they lost Game 3, but last night rejuvenated me. So I'm back in on let's get it there.
All right, good. Well, best of luck to you. I will be rooting against you, but that's all good. That's my emo hedge. I make some money or you're happy, I guess. So
exactly. There we go.
Yeah, so that's some good ALDS talk. Let's close out the show with our game of the night, Monday Night Football. Another team you are a fan of, the Denver Broncos, traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers, a little AFC West showdown. Currently, Chargers are a 4-point favorite, total of 45.5. Peter, I will start with you again. The state of the Broncos now. Where is this team's head at? Last time we saw them, they played maybe the most miserable football game I've ever watched against the Colts on Thursday Night Football. Long time to recover here. Can the Broncos get off the schneid here, or is this really just trending towards a disaster of a season?
I'm leaning towards it's trending towards a disaster of a season. I really am. I honestly was so happy the Yankees won last night, so I didn't have to solely watch the Broncos tonight. I don't even think I'll turn the game on, to be honest with you, during the Yankee. I'm not even going to put myself through that. The issue is it's the same thing since the first week of the season. Offensively, they haven't been good. 19th in yards per play, 23rd in points scored. They're horrible in the red zone. Russell Wilson's hurt now. He has a lat issue. They don't have Javonte Williams. They're getting Justin Simmons back tonight, which is good for a defense. But the defense hasn't been the issue. The Broncos can't score. And I think, I say trending towards a disaster just because they've lost multiple winnable games now. And you can't do that in this division and in the AFC, lose these games. The Jets are 4-2. The Patriots are now 3-3. You're looking at teams that you at the beginning of the year, you might have been the Broncos will just automatically be better than some of these teams. That's not going to be the case. So they couldn't have lost the Colts game. They couldn't lose the Seahawks game. They lost both. I don't have much confidence. I know the line in this game, it's moved from 6.5 to 4.5 over the course of the week. I really don't know why. I don't know why people are out on the Chargers against this Denver team. They're a far superior offense. But the keys tonight, they're going to have to run the ball. So the Chargers give up 5.8 yards per carry. So I think that's if the Broncos, if Melvin Gordon, Mike Boone, Latavius Murray, if they can run the ball, they got a chance. Do you want me to go into my bet? Because I'm fading the Broncos tonight.
Basically. No. Before you give your bet, I'll tell you why I like the Broncos to cover, because that's my best bet on the team. I think it's a dog or pass spot with Denver. Why are we back in on the Chargers? I was last year a big Brandon Staley believer, but this guy he's rubbing me the wrong way because now he's going to. I can't stand the coaches that are analytically driven and then they make bad decisions. You got to stick to your guns. If you're going to be this wild card, I'm going to go for it on 4th down and stick to this book, the book, quote unquote, then you got to stick to it, against the Chiefs punting it away and stuff on 4th and 2. I hated that. So we look at this Chargers resume. They let the Raiders hang around. They let Houston hang around. They got smoked and then they probably should have lost to the Browns last week. And then they got smoked by the Jaguars. So, that's just that's most of their season right there. I don't see with this Chargers team, and their run defense is so brutal. So if there's any opportunity for Russell Wilson maybe to pick his spots, to maybe, a limited Mr. Unlimited, a limited kind of workload for Russ and maybe establish the run. It's against this Chargers defense that is fourth worst in EPA per rush this season. They're 28th in EPA per play. So maybe this Chargers defense could let Denver stick in the game. And like I just said, Staley's kind of erratic decision-making, in my opinion. That could almost cancel out Nathaniel Hackett's stupid tendencies and his idiotic kind of decision-making as a coach. It could almost counteract itself because Staley's, we don't really know what he's going to be like. He's a mixed bag. So I just think this game is a little bit close. Like, it's a little bit closer to a coin flip. This is still an elite Denver defense. Denver's been in every single game this season because of their defense. So if there's one team I think that could blow kind of a gimme game, it is the Chargers. I am more interested in backing Denver as an underdog than I am as a favorite. The expectations change. So I think nobody wants Denver, but I kind of, this is the time to buy them, in my opinion.
I didn't see. Yeah, I get where you're coming from, especially because it's division game.
I wrote 4.5 down earlier for our pre-show stuff, but it's now 4. I still like it at 4. 4 is probably less time I'd stop though.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a division game. You're getting more than a field goal, so I don't mind that. I think the thing with Staley, dude. I mean, I'm interested in your take because I know you were like when he went for it against Cleveland in his own territory on 4th and 1 with like a minute to go. Like, what was he thinking there? Like, why are you going for it in that spot?
Yeah, see, like if there's all these like 4th down bots now that tell you like what is like the increased win probability, and some of his decisions are like really sound, and like I know they like look stupid, but like if you think you have the chance to ice the game, the issue is some of the play calls are just atrocious. Like I don't hate if you think, I believe it's 4th and 2. Like if you're gonna say I'm gonna go for it and try and ice this game right now, you got to have a better play call than throwing the ball like 12 yards downfield into coverage. Like that's just a bad decision. Like, you can make the right decision to go for it, but then you have to make a good play call to match it. So, then it looks dumb. So, and then like I said, against the Chiefs, what was it now? Like 4 weeks ago, that Thursday night game, guys punting in opportunities when you're going to need touchdowns to beat the Chiefs. So maybe tonight he'll be super conservative because you're playing a Denver team and like you trust your defense, even though their defense is bottom 5 in terms of EPA per play. But I can't trust this Chargers team to win with margin. It's similar to the Vikings. Like anytime they're laying more than a field goal, it just feels like these teams always play condensed games that are going to go down to the wire because of crazy decisions that add variance to the game. So that's kind of our side talk. What do you got for a player prop? I know you just said you alluded to it by saying you're fading the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm taking the under in this game, and it's mainly because of that Denver offense. I just don't trust them to put up the points. And Broncos have one of the best pass defenses in the NFL this year. So it's going to be a little bit tougher for Herbert and company to move the ball. No Keenan Allen tonight. So Denver can you go put Pat Surtain on Mike Williams, just shadow him and make somebody else beat you tonight. You look at the Broncos games this year, everything has been under. I mean, 12-9 against the Colts. They went under in every game except for the Raiders game. And that was a game because they had a fumble 6 in the first half, and then Josh Jacobs ran all over them. So that game was a game that could have went under as well, just depending upon, a couple bounces here and there. So I think that's the play. I got it at 46. I think it's moved down to 45.5.
Yep.
But I just don't see I could see 2017 type of game where I just don't think the Broncos, with how bad their red zone offense has been, where they're going to be able to score enough points to, make the Chargers, like you said, have to go for it. Like if they're the Chargers, Chargers might be able to play this methodical, slower type of game, even though that's not how they normally play because Denver can't score. So I think anything over 45, 44 with the Broncos is worth a shot to take the under.
Yeah, no, I don't hate it. And looks like I'm going against the community today, though, because the poll results are in, and they are taking the Chargers, laying the 4.5. Peter's emo hedge going against me. It feels like I'm always against the public, but so Charger minus 4.5 is the community pick. Thank you to all that voted and chimed in, taking the Chargers. But yeah, that's our show. We got a lot covered in case you're coming in late. Peter and I gave 3 NBA futures bets we were on, including an NBA title bet and a few long shots along the way. So good combo there. We talked some ALDS, and then of course our game of the night, Broncos Chargers. Really loaded show. I am back in the BetSided YouTube universe at 1:00 tomorrow, talking some early reads, some college football week 8 for you. Tomorrow's Daily Betslip will be back at the normal time, 5 Eastern, with Ian McMillan and Ben Heisler. So we got plenty of content for you. Make sure you like this video. Subscribe to the BetSided YouTube channel. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, trying to hit that mark. So make sure you like and subscribe. And until then, Peter, best of luck to like every single one of your teams the next 24 hours. And best of luck to everybody's bets. And we will see you tomorrow.